She tried to steal from my kids. She forged documents, spread lies, and even tried to claim their dead father's truck as her own. What she didn't realize is that I wasn't just going to fight back, I was going to take everything from her, including the roof over her head. Mess with my boys? You lose your house. If you've ever wanted to see karma land with perfect precision, you're going to love this one. Smash that like button, subscribe for more stories where justice is served hot, and drop a comment with the best revenge you've ever witnessed. All right, let's dive into this battle. I'm a 50-year-old man, stepdad to two amazing sons. Well, I say step, but in reality, they're just my sons. I've been raising them since they were 8 and 10. They're grown now, but from the start, my wife and I made it a mission to keep their biological dad, let's call him Jason, close in their lives. Jason lived over an hour away, and money was always tight for him. But he loved his boys. Sometimes he'd even crash at our place just to spend more time with them. It wasn't always easy, blending families, but we respected him and wanted the kids to know both their dads cared. But where Jason brought love, stability, and a sense of family, his ex-girlfriend brought chaos. Jason's ex, let's call her Linda, was a storm in human form. A master manipulator with a rap sheet that read like a scam artist's resume. Forgery, fraud, lies. At different times, she claimed she and Jason were secretly married, sometimes under common law, sometimes on an Indian reservation, sometimes just in her own fantasy world. But here's the truth. She was nothing but a toxic force. Their relationship had been volatile, fiery. And Jason, like a lot of men who want to fix things, held on to it longer than he should have. He cared for her daughters, even her grandson, and that tugged at his heart. But Linda always had a way of dragging him down. At one point, she even got him sent to prison. Jason had been on probation, and when his mother died, he traveled outside his county to attend the funeral. That's all, just a grieving son trying to say goodbye. But Linda, vindictive as ever, made sure the violation stuck. He served months behind bars. When he got out, he made a clean break. He moved, rebuilt, found peace, and that drove Linda insane. She stalked him, harassed him, and even impersonated police officers in texts to his friends and family, spreading lies about him. She even targeted my boys. Imagine your phone buzzing and it's some unknown number spewing venom about your dad. She'd buy burner phones just to harass his sons. The cruelty was endless. But then tragedy hit. Jason died suddenly of a heart attack. He was still young, still fighting for his life, still building peace. It crushed us all, especially the boys. Jason didn't have much. He lived humbly in a trailer, had a box of tools, some old comics, his treasured Dungeons and Dragons books, a few marine mementos, and a beat-up 2009 pickup truck. That truck, though, he had promised it to my oldest son, Paul, several times. It wasn't just metal and wheels. It was a symbol of his dad's word, his legacy. Jason hadn't left a will, so my wife, being the boy's mother and because they were still minors, became executor of his estate. We gathered his things. We took the truck. It was painful but sacred work, and right on cue, Linda swooped in like a vulture. First, she called Jason's sister, demanding the truck. She ranted on Facebook, posting that it had been stolen. She smeared us online, trying to rally people to her side. That was infuriating enough. But then came the real gut punch. When we finally had Jason's death certificate and went to transfer the truck into Paul's name, the DMV dropped a bombshell. The title had already been transferred. Linda had forged papers, claiming she was Jason's only heir. She literally stole the title to her dead ex's truck. So now my son was driving his dad's truck with a packet of documents in the glove box, ready to prove at any moment that he wasn't a thief. Imagine that. The son of a Marine, the rightful heir, ready to be pulled over and treated like a criminal because of this woman's lies. We hired a lawyer. We spent thousands. We endured months of stress. Finally, a director at the DMV intervened, saw the fraud for what it was, and fixed the title. But the damage was done. Linda had made every step of the grieving process a nightmare. We pressed on through probate. Linda claimed she was Jason's wife. She declared herself the sole heir. She swore she'd get everything. When the hearing date came, she didn't even show up. Instead, she emailed the court with a long rant, claimed she couldn't attend because of work. This woman doesn't even have a job. Claimed Jason never cared for his kids. This man who never missed a football game, never missed a track meet, who lived for his sons. She trashed my wife. She trashed the boys. She trashed anyone who dared stand in her way. The judge saw through it all. He declared the boys the sole heirs. My wife remained executor. It should have ended there. But Linda, she didn't know how to quit. That's when we discovered the ace in the hole. Years earlier, Linda had put Jason's name on the deed to her house. Why? Because as a disabled veteran, Jason's status gave her a property tax break. His name wasn't on the mortgage, but it was on the deed, which meant legally he owned half that house. And now, that half belonged to my sons. At first, we thought, leave it. Walk away, we're not greedy. But then we remembered the harassment, the forged title, the burner phones, the lies about their dad. She had gone after my kids, and that crossed the line. So we filed suit. We entered mediation. We were even willing to take a fraction of the house's value just to resolve things peacefully. But Linda rejected it. She thought she could bluff, bully, and lie her way out, just like always. Her lawyer eventually dropped her. That's how toxic she was. She showed up with forged documents, this time a so-called newly discovered will naming her as Jason's sole heir, a magically appearing quitclaim deed supposedly giving her the house. It was laughable, and yet the court still had to play it out, so the case dragged on. Continuances, excuses, more lies, but finally, the day came. Court day. The air was thick. We came prepared, every document in order, and Linda, she didn't even show. The judge reviewed the facts, noted her absence, and cut straight to the decision. In less than 10 minutes, justice was served. The estate, my sons, owned half the house. A panel of 3 lawyers would oversee its sale. Linda was going to lose her home. After decades of schemes, forgeries, and cruelty, she would finally face consequences. The poetic justice was delicious. The same house she had once used Jason's name to secure a tax break was now the very house she was being forced to sell. She had stolen, lied, and clawed for control her whole life. But this time, the law, the truth, and karma were on the same side. For the first time ever, Linda wasn't the manipulator. She was the victim of her own schemes. And the best part? My sons, the ones she tried to torment, were the ones who gained. This wasn't just about property or money. It was about protecting my kids, about showing them that when someone comes after your family, you don't just endure, you stand, you fight, and you win. And in the end, sometimes the sweetest revenge is simply watching a liar's house get sold out from under them. So what do you think? Did Linda get what she deserved? Have you ever seen someone finally face the fallout of their lies? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your stories. And if you love this tale of justice and revenge, smash that like button, subscribe for more, and share this video with someone who needs to see karma in action. Because at the end of the day, if you mess with someone's kids, you just might lose your